The All Dress Podcast with Connor McKenna, Eric Macramella, and Sean Starr starts now.
It's a new episode of All Dressed. You may have noticed that there's only two of us. Sean Starr has been held up. I will allow you, the listener, to perhaps guess as to why it is that Sean's not available today. Let your imagination run wild. I have a feeling if you know Sean, you probably know what he's doing right now. Either way, we're with you. Eric Macramella, how you doing, buddy?
I think Sean today was painting his belly the color of the Montreal Canadiens, and he fell asleep while he was doing that. And this is why Sean is not here to join us. But he's still here in spirit, and that's really important that we note that Sean's spirit.
We love Sean and we wish he was here, but we have to soldier on without him. I mean, that's the way of the world, I suppose. We are very, very happy to be here with you. And what a night last night with Cole Caufield scoring his first career NHL goal. The Canadiens mounting a huge comeback for the second night in a row and doing all of it without the highest paid players on the team for the most part at each position, I guess, right? Their highest paid forward, their highest paid D, although technically Gallagher's contract doesn't kick in until next year. And then, of course, the $84 million man in goal. What a night for Primeau. What a night for Alexander Romanov. Eric, I don't even know where to begin here other than to say the kids are all right.
Well, I will tell you where I'm going to begin. I'm going to begin and end with Cole Caufield. Yeah, it was a beautiful team effort, and I love how you highlighted Romanov has been playing really, really well. Suzuki's playing with such great confidence. I think Suzuki, when he can smell the playoffs, I think his game just elevates. It's just the way he's designed. But that moment for Cole Caufield was absolutely wonderful and special. I'm smiling now because I rewatched that overtime goal probably 20 to 30 times. It wasn't just that it was a really important goal for the Canadiens and for this stretch run, but it felt like it was a bit of a game changer. It felt like it was Cole Caufield, who had a decent game, maybe not his best of the games he's played, but it was a moment where he said, I have arrived. It was just the goal to me, Connor, how it felt for you, but for me, it felt as though the goal was meaningful, not just because we won the game. It was meaningful because Caufield scored that goal.
Yeah, I think you're right. And there's just something special about overtime game-winning goals. You know, if you think about sort of memorable moments that this team has delivered in the last couple of years, overtime goals, even this season, right? The Eric Staal goal was a big moment, and it's been a mixed bag for him since, but that was a great moment. Think of Ilya Kovalchuk last year and those overtime moments he delivered. But this is why you watch sports, isn't it? For moments like that, to see the unbridled joy, not just of Caufield scoring the goal and the ear-to-ear smile on his face, but his teammates and the way that they reacted, right? I mean, that's how happy they all were for him, how happy they were for that moment too. But that's why we love sports. It's that exact thing.
You know, it was great because I watched it so many times that I started to read lips. And Eric Staal, when he scored the goal, it was meaningful too because the players, his teammates, were so happy for him. And so I watched it. I think the 20th time I watched it, I was reading Eric Staal's lips, and he just said to Cole Caufield on the ice, "Good job." I thought that was beautiful. The other thing I thought was beautiful, Connor, was Jake Evans, because a lot of that goal was as a result of the efforts he made during that shift. But what a game he's had, Connor. What a week he has had. He has really emerged now as an important player for the Canadiens.
You're right. And I don't know if I'm going to say that having him on the sidelines as long as they did was a stroke of genius, but it appears that might have been part of the reason why a team that's so tired too, that was able to plug him in, and he had an energy that we just didn't see from a lot of different guys over the last little while. I think, it's a great call by you. He is, it's not necessarily the guy you think of when you're thinking about the exciting young players on this team, but a quiet, hard worker, skates well, and like all the other young guys, good things are happening there. You look at that again to highlight the win last night. Obviously a huge moment for Caufield, and the goal is what you'll remember. But how about Primeau? Let's talk a little bit about that. And let's not also forget, I think when we're talking about the moment, there is something magical about a Saturday night. And maybe that, I think the Staal OT winner was a Saturday night too, but to do it on Saturday night, on Hockey Night in Canada, there is just something that's a little more magical about that. But let's start with talking about Caden Primeau, and that is for me a huge moment in his career and in his life, that he was able to come in and deliver a performance like he did. It's going to be a huge confidence builder, and I think it can't be forgotten that thanks to him, the game didn't get out of reach when it could have. The Canadiens did ultimately turn it on, but the only reason they were able to come back in the game was because Primeau was really standing tall.
He was. I mean, he made 21 saves on 23 shots for a save percentage of .913, but they weren't 21 ordinary shots. That was the issue. Is the Sens were getting a lot of quality scoring chances, a lot of quality scoring chances early, and he shut the door. I mean, that save he made on the breakaway was great. I forgot who it was on. He made some really key saves, and it's good to see him, because I know he was 11-3 with Laval, and I think people expect things of him. He may well be our goaltender of the future whenever that future kicks in. I don't know when it's going to kick in, but it's good to see that the Canadiens need not only rely on Jake Allen in Carey Price's absence, but that Primeau is a viable option for him. So I thought he was terrific, and it's great to see that. It's great to see the kids playing so well against a team that has a lot of kids playing well in the Ottawa Senators, who, by the way, have pretty much the same record as the Canadiens do since February 1st.
Wow. That's such a strange thing to even try to read into. I mean, if you even just the starts of the two teams, the Sens started as badly as the Canadiens started well. I think it was even like a mirror image. It was something like 1-7-2 when the Canadiens were 7-1-2 in the first 10 games of the season. But you're right, and that's the expectations are a funny thing. But I think, I don't want this to necessarily read as a negative commentary on the veterans on this team, but I think it does say something for me that what we saw this weekend from the Canadiens in these two games, 2 goal deficits, the comebacks, securing all 4 points at such a crucial time of the year, and taking advantage of the opportunities. I don't think it should be lost on anyone that Carey Price, Shea Weber, Brendan Gallagher, who are, I think, in many ways sort of the leadership core of this team, they weren't there for that, and that the kids were able to deliver that. You mentioned Suzuki, who looked like a leader and looked like he kind of grabbed the game by the scruff of its neck in a way that we've been waiting for, but he's been doing a little bit of in the last week or so, right? You mentioned him smelling the playoffs. He looked like Bubble Suzuki. He looked like
Bubble Suzuki.
He looked like
that's a great term.
A beginning of the season Suzuki too, right? When he was a point a game guy and he was flying with Drouin and Anderson. Drouin not there either. And I think it says a lot. If you're wondering about what these kids have here, look at this win. Look at Caden Primeau, the performance from him. Look at Alexander Romanov. I didn't love that he fought, but he fought and he didn't get killed, so that's fine. And he had a great game. Nick Suzuki providing a big goal. Cole Caufield getting the overtime game winner. That's what happened here. You want to talk about a core? This might be the core of the future for this hockey team. And to see them, not just last night, but what they delivered this weekend in the 2 games, I think it could be sort of a significant moment, not just in those players' careers, but even for this franchise, as big of a deal as you can make over 2 regular season games in a pandemic shortened season.
2 things. First, early on your Smash Hit morning show, when the Canadiens got off to a good start against all those games in Vancouver against the Canucks, 2 weeks into the season, you said something just sort of in passing, which was absolutely right. You said those wins will come in pretty handy at the end of the season. Those wins make a huge difference, and they have made a huge difference. Kept the Canadiens in contention. Insofar as the group of players, for me, the Canadiens aren't necessarily worse when Carey Price is not playing, at least not playing as well as he did in the bubble. The Canadiens are not necessarily worse when Shea Weber's out of the lineup. Now, with Gallagher in the lineup, that presents a bit of an issue, I think. Gallagher makes the Canadiens go. He is one of their best forwards, if not their best forward. But I agree with you, is that you have to rely on some of these young guys. Romanov, apart from Jeff Petry, is the only defenseman out of the core that is a mobile defenseman that can move the puck, because Edmondson, Sherratt, and Weber and Merrill can't do that. So you've got Petry as your mobile D guy, and you've got Romanov who's developing into that. Incredibly important for a D core that is not mobile, that is not agile, and that has created a lot of significant issues on the back end, uncontested zone entries, exploiting lanes, defensive breakdowns. And so it's interesting to me with Weber out of the lineup. I'm not saying the Canadiens are better with him out of the lineup, but that huge price tag together, the way that he's been playing, Connor, to me, presents a bit of an issue. And I'm not going to say I'm terribly upset that he's not playing. If that is an unfair statement, then please just let me know. Maybe I'm off.
I don't think it is. And the other thing is the power play. I don't think we can ignore the effect that Shea Weber has on this power play. It's been going on for years. He is the guy that they all defer to all the time. And when he's not there, it opens things up. It's a different story. They appear to no longer have the sort of tunnel vision of set up the one-timer for Weber. That's really what they're always, it seems to me at least, that they're always looking for, right? They're sort of lined up on the perimeter. Maybe there's a guy, maybe Corey Perry's in front of the net. But other than that, guys on the perimeter, moving the puck around the perimeter, trying to find a way to tee up Weber. It's very predictable. It has been for a long time. And and the coaching staff too, I guess, because this is the look they keep going for. Kirk Muller, Alex Burrows, whoever is running this power play, loves Shea Weber. They want to see, and we saw it the other night. I mean, he teed one up there on the power play, and that's why they do it. The problem is that only seems to work 1 out of every 100 or so times they try to do it. So the power play, again, it's not that it doesn't. They don't necessarily have to score, but as we know from watching this team for years, the baseline is low. The expectation is low. You want a power play that does not kill any momentum that you have. That's the baseline, right? It'd be great if they scored a goal, but just don't be so bad that the wind comes completely out of the team's sails in any momentum they've been building. And there's so much more like that. I mean, it looks like, I don't know if potent is the right word, but at least a baseline okay power play when Shea Weber's not there.
I'm optimistic about this power play. I think that it can evolve with the pieces the Canadiens have in place, because you look at any successful power play in the NHL, and that power play is not scoring goals on a regular basis from the point. It's your guys on the flank. And the reason I'm optimistic is because Suzuki on the flank now is developing into a guy with that great wrist shot that can score on the power play. Caufield will become that guy. That will be his bread and butter. Kotkaniemi, you're seeing his development stall a little bit. He has the potential to be good. And then Toffoli on the point, who has the potential to sort of skate down along the flank and shoot. I'm looking at these pieces, and I think the Canadiens power play can actually bring things together in the playoffs. So I agree with you that having Weber on the point as your primary focus, as your focal point, it doesn't work. It's archaic. Very much like a group of defensemen who are not mobile. It's archaic. So and in part, that's what the Caufield moment was for me in overtime when he scored, Connor. It was a crystallization that perhaps we're looking now at the evolution of the Canadiens. This may be hyperbole. It may just me being so joyous over yesterday's win, but it felt a bit different to me.
The weekend felt different to me. When the Sens went up 2-0 in that game, I think one of two things could have happened. And one thing is that's it, right? Okay, on to the next one. We're exhausted. It's been another week of playing 4 games. It's a back-to-back. Let's pack it in and start thinking about next week. But instead, it was a battle cry. It was a rallying cry. It seems. And instead of crumpling, Jeff Petry, I mean, that Petry goal last night, oh mama, that was, I'm trying to think of who.
That's like pond hockey, man. Like that's the goal you score when you're having fun playing on the outdoor rink. That was a beautiful dangle.
And it's, and I mean, listen, that's not possible if it's not for, was it Brandstrom? Is that who it is? The Sens? I mean,
Eric Brandstrom, yeah.
That was not good from him at all, but someone's got to do that in order to create the highlight reel goal. And I mean, full marks to Petry for it, but there is sort of the wily veteran stepping up in a big moment there. And all of a sudden we've got ourselves a hockey game, and then it ended the way that it ended. But I thought that was a great moment too. And a reminder of what you can do when you have a guy who you can activate in a situation like that. Jeff Petry, maybe Romanov. I mean, imagine he starts scoring goals like that every once in a while, which is certainly not out of the realm of possibility. But that's a reminder when you have guys who are capable of doing that, and they have one, maybe two, that's possible, and it totally changes the equation. It's unfortunate, and the gamble of this sort of immobile blue line this sort of old school punish you in front of the net, kind of bank it off the glass to get it out of the zone blue line that the Canadiens have. Hopefully that pays off in the playoffs, right? I mean, that seems to be the gamble. That's what the optimistic look of it is. But it's interesting to be reminded. Even Gustafsson, who I know didn't play last night, they got Kulak back in there. But Gustafsson also is a guy who can give you that a little bit. The problem is he's got some issues, it seems, when it comes to playing on the other end of the rink. But you need guys like that. You need guys that you can activate. You need guys that can take the puck from one blue line, go in past the other one, and make something happen.
Gustafsson has got some prowess on the offensive side, although when he got those 60 points, a lot of that was a function of playing with Patrick Kane on the power play. I don't know to the extent that Gustafsson represents a significant upgrade over Victor Mete, to be honest with you. But here's the question I wanted to ask you. If I said this to you at the beginning of the season, how would you have reacted? Top 3 goal scorers in the NHL, Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, Tyler Toffoli. What would you have said to me if I said that's what it's going to look like?
I would have laughed. I would have laughed you out of the room, right? I think to be really optimistic, you might have thought 20 for Toffoli in a 56-game season. I mean, and anybody would have taken that, but yeah, it's unbelievable. It's an amazing story. And I think it is. It's a good example of the fact that some guys just have it. Like there's an it factor there. He's not the fastest guy on the ice. He's not the guy that you're ever really, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful or anything. I mean, if anything, it's a mark of respect, but it's a guy that doesn't really stand out for any particular reason to the naked eye unless you're looking for it. And then when you start looking for it, and he's so good at it, it's just, he knows where to be. He knows where to go. He's one of these guys. It reminds me a bit of Andrei Markov in the later days of his career when he wasn't as mobile as he was, but he was so smart. He always knew where the puck was going to be. He was always 1 or 2 steps ahead of everybody else. And Toffoli seems to have that quality a little bit too. It's just, who's there to jump on the rebound? Tyler Toffoli. He knows where to be. He knows where that rebound's going to come out, and he's there to poach it. And the way he's shooting, it's, for a team that's had such a lack of shooting prowess and has been such a low percentage team when it comes to shooting, a guy who's able to snipe them, it really is a welcome change and a sight for sore eyes.
Tyler Toffoli was born to play hockey. When he was put together in the factory, he was put together for one purpose, and that's to play hockey. Because as you say, his skating doesn't stand out, right? He's got really great hand-eye coordination. We saw it yesterday on the power play, who knocked that puck down on the disallowed goal. But he's just, from the moment the Habs acquired him, if you follow me on Twitter, listeners, he was the guy that I absolutely loved. He could just do so many things. He's a good two-way player, good in tight, can finish, can score, and he shoots. And now suddenly you've got Toffoli, you've got Suzuki, who now is scoring, and then you have the potential of Caufield, who may score as well. That really changes the complexion of the team going into the playoffs. I guess I would ask you, Connor, as we head into the playoffs, we're 2 points behind the Jets. Would you rather play the Oilers or the Leafs? Dumb question, Oilers. I know. Yeah.
The Oilers, no question.
And do you feel that the Canadiens can beat the Oilers?
Yes, sure. We've seen them beat the Oilers, 5-6 times this year? To me, there's no question. I don't want to read too much into a regular season record, but God, there's just something about that matchup with the Leafs that I don't like. I know that look, we all want to see the Canadiens and the Leafs in the playoffs, but just the way Austin Matthews he's got him, right? Remember how Daniel Alfredson, Jason Spezza had the Canadiens number for so long? Like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of that. It's just he's good for a goal a game. It seems like Tavares is good for a goal a game. And I mean, Matthews is just that good, right? I mean, he's up there. He's maybe one of the 3 best players in the game. And as crazy as it sounds to say, I would choose, sounds like the stupidest thing. I would choose Connor McDavid. I choose to go up against the best, I believe the best hockey player of all time, him. But a part of it too is just that the blue line, the good Mike Smith in goal, and I know the Leafs have question marks in goal, but Mike Smith, I think he's a guy who can be unpredictable and can fall apart. So just for whatever reason, and maybe it's foolish to say so, but I prefer the Oilers matchup to the Leafs. You?
Yeah, I 100% would want the Canadiens to face the Oilers. Just have a much better chance. They just match up better. The games have been also really exciting games, but you watch the Leafs games and some of them have been pretty lopsided. Now the Leafs do have an open question in net, but if Campbell can perform or if Anderson's back, then that team is a really hard team to beat. Now, I mean, I'm looking at the schedule, and the Jets are just 2 games up, and the Canadiens both and the Jets have 6 games left to play. The schedule favors the Jets. They've got 2 against the Sens, 2 against the Canucks, 1 against the Flames, and 1 against the Leafs. The Canadiens have got 3 against the Leafs, 2 against the Oilers, and 1 against the Sens. But that being said, given that the margin is so small, it's just 2 points. I mean, anything can happen. So I would love it if the Canadiens play the Oilers first to just be a more, I think it just be more fun to watch. It's a more fun brand of hockey. But I have, how can you not have concerns about the Leafs? They've got incredible firepower, Nylander and Matthews and Marner. I mean, that is, and Tavares, it's a tough team to beat, a team that can beat you via special teams.
And it seems also like the guys that they have on their team that don't necessarily score have a tendency to score against the Canadiens too. Like Mikheyev will get one, and Justin Hull will get one, or some guy you've never heard of will get one. All right, and the disallowed goal. What did you think?
I can understand the reason why it was turned over.
Yeah,
but it seemed, I'll say, a little bit ambitious. I felt they overreached a bit. I think that is fundamentally a hockey play. I didn't feel he interfered with Gustafsson as well. I don't think there was enough there that resulted in Gustafsson not be able to make the save. So I thought it was a bad call. I understand it, but I thought it was a bad call. You?
I thought it was fine. For me, basically, and I credit to the Canadiens again for not letting that be another, end it moment for them. That I have no problem with that not being a goal. I mean, he interfered with him. I believe that basically his ability to make that save was impacted. So that's fine. I just want them to make that call. I just want it to be consistent. That's all. Because the problem with it is that it really is it's a perfect example of one of those 50-50 ones where you're like, I could see this going either way. I wasn't too torn up about the fact that they called it the way that they did, but I also could have seen them calling it the other way. And I do wonder, because it's probably going to happen, that, in the playoffs, whoever or whichever team is impacted by it, we're going to see one of these. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the call go the other way. And that's the thing that annoys me about it, and has always sort of annoyed me about these goaltender interference reviews, is that ultimately it doesn't seem like there's a very good level of consistency in calling them. But if that's how they're going to call them, then that's fine. But if next time it goes the other way, we're back to square one. And that's the thing that drives me nuts.
The only thing and I'll just wrap it up with this, Connor, before we switch topics, or if you want to move on to something else, as we run out of time here. But the one thing that occurred to me when that goal was disallowed is, will you disallow that goal in the playoffs? And I don't think that they will. And as you said, consistency and precedent is important. I think that's the issue. I don't think they are.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers, who told Mike Tirico yesterday. I don't know if you caught this, but I think it was Mike Tirico that he told him that he was sad that the news had leaked of the rift between him and the Packers. He doesn't want to play for the Green Bay Packers anymore. The Packers seem to be saying, well, too bad. And I have no idea where this thing is going. It's been a fascinating couple of months when it comes to this story, and the whole Jeopardy angle just adds a wrinkle that is just, it's a fun story. I'm not a Packers fan, so I don't care. But I am curious, where do you see this going with Aaron Rodgers?
First thing is, in this business, the sports business, stuff leaks for a reason. There's always a reason why information is leaked. So Aaron Rodgers to express disappointment, maybe sadness that it leaked, to me, strikes me as slightly disingenuous. That aside, Aaron Rodgers isn't speaking to his mother, okay? So the Packers think that they can win the argument with Aaron Rodgers? Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. So when the news came out that he may retire, have to pay them back $23 million over the next 2 years off his signing bonus, this is something Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Fundamental to every relationship, every successful relationship, is trust. That trust was broken when the Packers traded up to get Jordan Love. and didn't trade up to get him any wide receiver weapons or any help on the O-line. So he feels as though the trust is broken. The latest news I've heard is that he says it's either me or the general manager. He'll stay if the GM is gone.
Wow.
Bottom line is, this is not a situation where you can convince him to stay, right? You have to either fire the GM or he's done. This is Aaron Rodgers, man. He's 37 years old. He's a grumpy California guy on his best day. He's done with the Packers unless they fire the GM. You?
Yeah, and you know, he's engaged to a successful working actor who is not going to find a lot of work, I wouldn't think, in Wisconsin. You know, that's, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to blame Shailene Woodley here, but I would have to think that it's a factor. I mean, if I try to put myself in their shoes, in either of their shoes, I wouldn't want to be there either. It's I don't know where this is going to go, but when it comes to, I mean, you heard about that offer, at least the report of what the 49ers offered for Rodgers, and they said no. I mean, they're not going to get a better deal than that, are they? The 3 pick, Jimmy G, and like what, another 2 first-round picks, something. I mean, it was a king's ransom with a quarterback. You could draft Kyle Pitts, presumably, if you have that 3 pick, and start turning the corner on your franchise. But I don't know. I mean, what team do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing for next year, or do you think he's not going to be playing at all? Is it Packers or nothing?
I think that he plays for the Packers if the general manager was fired. I don't see a way for them to repair that relationship unless they make that move. If I'm betting on this, I think it's less likely he starts the season as the Packers quarterback. The thing is, you're totally right, actually. I haven't even thought about that, but they could have got a king's ransom from the 49ers because they had the 3rd overall pick. So you either get Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. I mean, Justin Fields maybe is the kind of quarterback the Packers like, and better than Jordan Love. So just from a future standpoint, wouldn't it have made sense to make that trade? Wouldn't it have made perfect sense for the Packers?
When I heard that, and of course there have been those who have said that that's not true, that report has been denied. So maybe it's false. I mean, but yeah, like I said, if you're not accepting that, then I don't think you're accepting anything. And the equation changes now that the draft is over. So we'll see. But it is one of the more fun dramas playing out in the sports world right now. All right, we're short on time. Let's get to our top 4 this week. Again, we miss Sean. We wish Sean was here, and we actually saved the top 4 that we were going to do for Sean. That's how much we love Sean. But our top 4 this week is Eric. How did you phrase it?
It was your idea. I loved it. It was top 4, your top 4 favorite items in your home.
Things in your place that you live, your favorite things.
Favorite things, yeah. So did you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
So we'll do it again from 4 to 1.
Yes.
Number 4 is my shower.
Shower head or shower?
Just the shower. I've got the rain shower there over my head. And I also have the other one that comes in this way. I prefer the rain shower. She prefers the diagonal traditional shower, but it's spacious. There's room to move around in there. I do wish that there was a place to like a seating area. Although Eric, I know how you feel about sitting down, but I love my shower. Let's see here. Next on the list, I'm going to go with the television. I love television. Yes. I love watching television. I like playing video games and all the things that I can do. My TV, I bought a newer TV that's downstairs now that, it's the smart TV, obviously, but it's great.
It's amazing.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, all the stuff is
Crave,
right there
everything
on the remote. The same remote works for everything. It works for my Bell box. It works for my Chrome box. It's just great. I love my TV.
Size, please. Size. You have to always say
65.
Beautiful size. Perfect.
I kind of immediately wished I had a 75, but
I have an 80, and the 80 is a nice size.
Yeah, it's great. There's no such thing as a TV being too big.
No, totally agree.
Number 2 is the couch. Okay. The couch is the heart of the home. You can see actually right behind me here. This is our couch. I believe it's the biggest ticket item that we own in our house. It's the most expensive thing. Please don't steal it. And this is where the cuddling happens, and there's a fireplace.
You and Flamando, or you and Lucy?
Everybody, both, the
Everybody.
whole family. Yeah,
okay.
The whole family. And number 1 is the bed, king size bed.
Oh,
great memory foam pillows, and I love my bed. That's just, yeah, I couldn't live without it. I really couldn't.
Oh, those are 4 good choices. I used to love my bed, but I've been married so long that the bed is no longer relevant. So number 4.
How long have you been married?
It's been a long time. It feels longer than it has. It looks like, I don't know, 7, no, 8, I guess. 9, no, 9. It'd be 9. Okay, number 4 on my list: paper towels.
Really
towels. Weird, right? But with 2 young kids, paper towels. That's the one thing in the house I can't live without. We're always wiping stuff down, our Cheerios milk off the floor, my brow, after I give a speech to the kids about, ethics and stuff and about steroids in baseball. So I love the paper towels. I know it's weird. Number 3, it is this microphone, my USB Rode microphone. And I'll tell you why. And it kind of relates to my relationship with you and with Sean and some other people that I've been working with. During the pandemic, you've been stuck at home. We've all been stuck at home. And this is the way that I've been connecting with people. And while some friendships have softened over the past year, my friendship with you, for example, is more robust than it has been before with some other people. So this microphone has allowed me to connect with people, and I'm eternally grateful for that. Number 2, it's not technically a lazy boy, but it's a lazy boy type of chair with buttons that make it go up and down. I love that chair, man. It almost goes straight. I fell asleep in that chair 2 days ago while watching the Habs game. I was exhausted after the vaccine. I wasn't sleeping well and stuff. And so I love that chair. And number 1, it's something we've used so many times since I bought them, first with Daniel, who's now 7, and now with both the boys. 2 little plastic hockey nets in the basement. We play hockey together in the basement all the time. I love being a dad. It's the greatest thing in the entire world. These 2 nets just make being a dad so much fun. We play so many different games, all kinds of games. These 2 nets are the core of my existence. So that's my list.
Good list. Eric, my friend, enjoy your Sunday. To everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And we'll have more for you. I know we had a bit of a quiet week, but we'll have more for you. Hopefully if Sean can squeeze us into his very busy schedule, hopefully all 3 of us back next time. But thank you, my friend. And